Good Erev Shabbos, everybody. Rabbi Gershon Afson here, Cincinnati, Ohio. Welcome back once again to our weekly shir in Pirkei Avos. This week, we are going to be learning for the first time of this year, Tavshin Pei Vav, a Mishnah in Pirkei, the second Perik of Pirkei Avos. This Mishnah, which is Mishnah Beis, the second Mishnah, is said by a very, very special tzaddik, Rabbi Gamliel, B'noi shel Rabbi Yehuda Anasi, Rabbi Gamliel, the son of Rabbi Yehuda Anasi. Before we get into what he actually says, it's important to know a little bit about who we are talking about. And obviously, there are many of you that will have the question, if Rabbi Yehuda Anasi wrote the Mishnah, and he is the author, so how is his son in the Mishnayos? His son was obviously after he passed away, so how was he in the Mishnayos? So just to give a general background without getting into all the details, we've spoken many times, and it's important always to reiterate that there are three Rabbi Gamliels. The Shalsheles, this tremendous lineage, started from Hillel Hazokin. Hillel, which we all know the greatness of Hillel, no one has to be told about the greatness of Hillel. So he had a son, Shimon, who had a son, Gamliel. The first Gamliel is called Gamliel Hazokin, Gamliel the elder, who had a son, Shimon, who had a son, Gamliel. And this Gamliel is called Gamliel de Yavna. He's the one that led Klal Yisrael after the Churban in Yavna. He had a son, Shimon, very good, who had a son, Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi. Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi had two sons, Shimon and Gamliel. Now, before he passed away, the Gemara in Ksubis Kuf Gimel Amud Beis tells us in great length all the details that happened before the passing of Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi. And it came the question, which one of his two sons should be the leader after him? He had two great sons, Shimon and Gamliel. So who should be the Nasi after Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi? So Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi actually discussed this. He wasn't going to leave a vacuum. He wasn't going to have, it left unknown. So he said like this, that before he passed away, he said, Afal pi sheshimon b'ni chacham, even though my son Shimon is extremely wise, Gamliel b'ni nasi. Gamliel b'ni will be the nasi. Shimon will be the chacham. He will be the leader of the Beis Din. But the Sanhedrin, it's going to be, the Nasi is going to be Rabbi Gamliel, because he had a tremendous, tremendous level of anivos, humility, like Hillel, and his midos were sterling, were amazing, that he was chosen to be the Nasi by Rabbi Yehuda Nasi. Now, he obviously was someone that taught Torah, and in his chus, so either Rabbi Yehuda Nasi put him in, or he was added right away to the Mishnayos right after Rabbi Yehuda Nasi passed away. But our special tzaddik, Rabbi Gamliel, who his father, Rebbe, before he passed away, also told him, please surround yourself with Talmidei Chachamim, because a leader is best served by wise people, tzaddikim, which surround him. So the more you're surrounded with holy people and smart people and people that go b'derech haTorah v'mitzvah, so they are the ones that are going to help you elevate and lead Klal Yisrael, which is such an important derech. He also made sure that he understood his ground, that if you're going to be the Nasi, you have to be a leader. But our Rabbi Gamliel, B'noi Shel Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, he advocates for a few things in our Mishnah. The first thing he says, Yofa Talmud Torah Derech Eretz. Now, we spoke about the first part of the Mishnah. What does it mean that Talmud Torah should be with Derech Eretz? Does that mean business? Does that mean Derech Eretz? And that's not going to be the focus of today's shir. We are going to speak about, and we are going to try to fabreng about the second half of the Mishnah. And I do want to give a special shout out. My mother is on the line here, and she always, since we were children, gave us a big chayis to learn Pirkei Avos. But regardless, the Mishnah tells us like this. It's very, very important. Again, he was someone that took leadership very seriously, from a lineage of leaders who got direction from his father of how to be a Nasi. And he says, V'chola oiskim imat tzibur, anyone that's involved with the tzibur, someone that gives himself over to lead the congregation or to help the congregation, you oiskim mohem l'shem shamayim. They should work and they should be involved. They should do it l'shem shamayim, for the sake of heaven. Now, on a very simple thing, don't take credit for your successes. When you're involved in the tzibur, it's not about your gain. It's not about your connection. It's not about your being a big macher and your kavod. That's not the way it works for Yidden, which are dedicated leaders and shluchim, rabbonim, askonim of Klal Yisrael. Because, believe it or not, sheschus avoisam misayatom. On a literal level, it means that you should know that the success that you have in helping the Kehillah is not because you're savvy. It's not because you're brilliant. It's not because you have good moves and you're dressing well and you're schmoozing up the right people. That is not your hatzlacha. The hatzlacha is really coming from the schus that the Avos give for Bnei Yisrael. So it's really the congregation's schus, the schus ha'avos, that is giving you the ability to intercede on their behalf. So don't feel that it's all about you. It's not your credit. It's the credit of the avos. It's the credit of the kehillah. And their righteousness of the avos are everlasting. And therefore, for years and generations, the ability to intercede on behalf of Klal Yisrael goes on forever. Nevertheless, v'atem, you, so if so, and this is all the simple pshat, if so, a person might feel that if it's not my schus, so, and it's anyways the schus avos, so why should I get involved? Why should I be involved in the askanus and the leadership? So you should know, mala ani aleichem, I will consider it. Now, who is that I? There's actually a disagreement. Is the ani referring to Rabbi Gamliel? Is he promising on his own? Or is the ani the Eibishter? He's referring that Hashem promises the Rav, the Askan, schar harbe ki'ilu asisen. I will consider it, even though it's not in your schus, I will consider it as if you did it anyways. Meaning, we're talking about first the pshat, that there's a double, not standard, but two perspectives that you have to have. Don't get conceited because it's not about you. Your success is coming from the schus of Bnei Yisrael. But don't get defeated. Don't feel that you shouldn't have a chayis in it, because at the end of the day, the Eibishter does recognize your hishtadlus. And even though it's not your credit, Lamaila, the Eibishter will give you the credit. And it's not just talking about broches in Shemayim. The Rambam says that it's very, very normal that someone that's involved in askanos, there are certain mitzvahs, there are certain inyanim that, and his ruchniistic life, and other mefarshim point out, he may have business opportunities that he can't. Imagine someone is on the board of the Crown Heights Jewish Community Council. He's an askan. So it comes at night, he has a choice. He can go to a shir, he can make a business meeting, or he has to go to the meeting of the council to discuss the needs of the community. And again, this is for all communities. I'm just picking an example. So that person who's going to that meeting could feel that he's losing out beruchnias, because he could have been involved in a more spiritual thing than discussing housing of the community. Or he could have developed his business better because he could have gone to another deal. He could have gone to a trade show. He could have called somebody and made some type of connection. So Hashem says, don't worry. If you do it l'shem shemayim, malani aleichem, I'm going to consider it as if you did it, and therefore you get the schar of the ruchnias. You won't lose out begashmias. The Eibishter is holding a cheshbon for every single person. The only condition is that you get involved in your doing it l'shem shamayim. And it also protects the person. How does it protect the person? Because Rabbi Gamliel said that it's important to have Talmud Torah in Derech Eretz. When you have Talmud Torah in Derech Eretz, which on a very simple level is learning Torah and being involved in Parnasa, having both of them will prevent you from getting involved in sin, because you're busy with Torah and your business. You're a fanum and emetch. You're involved, and that's you're a focused person. So someone's going to say that if I get involved in askanos, I'm going to be losing out in my Torah. I'm going to be losing out in my business. So maybe I'm going to get Avedis, because now I don't have that spiritual protection. So we say no, that you still have the spiritual protection. The Eibishter will take care of you. Now, if this is the case, and this is the simple taich of the Mishnah, so the Mishnah is really talking about askonim. And for many of us, which are regular lives, regular people, so what is the message? What should we take from this Mishnah? Yes, it's an inspiration that we shouldn't be afraid to be involved in askonos. We shouldn't be afraid to take communal matters in our hands. We shouldn't be afraid, because Hashem gives us special protection and special brachas from those which are involved in these matters. But nevertheless, what can we take this a little bit deeper? So the Medrash Shmuel he was a Talmud of the Arizal, and he wrote a legendary Pirush on Pirkei Avos. And he gives another nuance, another nekuda that we should take from this Mishnah. And that is, he teaches the Mishnah that we're not talking about people that are in askanos already. It's talking to the community as to what type of people should we elect in our leadership. What type of people should we want representing us? The Hira is not so much for the people which are representing, The question is, the Rabbi Gamliel is talking to the community itself, the community that is looking to elect, the community that is looking to have leaders, and so on, representing the Kihila. What type of people should we want? Because there is a natural feeling that the people that we want are the people that are, professional, and they have connections and all that. That is the ideal, what we are looking for. But we already know from the story of Mordechai and Esther, Esther had the most connections one can have with the king. She was the wife of the king. But when it came time to intercede on behalf of Klal Yisrael, she did something which was unheard of in any type of diplomatic rulebook. Instead of making herself look the most beautiful and attractive, she fasts for 3 days, she davens. Seemingly, when a woman is fasting for 3 days and she's coming to the king, she probably looked like a little bit down, verschleppert a little bit. So why would she do that? Why would she jeopardize her entire mission, which she was trying to gain favor in the eyes of the king, and that could ruin the whole mission? And we all know that the Mefarshim explain that she was sending a message to herself and to Klal Yisrael that our salvation comes from tshuva, bidei shamayim. Our connections we have to have is with Avinu Shabashamayim. That's the connections that we need. Once we understand that, we do hishtadlus in this world. It's very important to have our hishtadlus. But our success, our connections, have to be the one that we have to keep up and build our connections with, is with Avinu Shabashamayim. It's with Hashem. And that's why she did tshuva and she fasted to reignite the spirit of tshuva by Klal Yisrael, to reconnect them to their main source of salvation, which is HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And the same thing here is we need to look for leaders that we are convinced that they will serve L'Shem Shamayim. That, in other words, the Hayra of the Mishnah, according to the Medrash Shmuel, is to us. What type of leaders should we be looking up to? What type of leaders should we want representing us? Make sure you have leaders that you're convinced that their service will be L'Shem Shamayim. What is a way that you can look for that? So says Rabbi Gamliel, Rabbi Gamliel himself, if there's someone that had schus avos, it would be Rabbi Gamliel. Again, he's 7 generations from Hillel Azakin, father and son. These are the Nesiim of Klal Yisrael. He understood the power of schus avos. He understood the effect of schus avos, that having that special schus avos enables a certain humility to penetrate the descendants. It's a special bracha that the Eibishter gives the special tzaddikim. So the klal is look for someone that has schus avos misayaton. Look for someone that his grandparents, there's generations of leadership of anivos in their background, which will hopefully, in Mirz Hashem, penetrate the descendant as well, that he should not fall prey to the natural tendencies that come with leadership. The natural tendencies that come with leadership is to feel conceited, is to feel that you are the macher and you deserve the kavod, you deserve the respect. Gaiva and taiva is a tremendous nesoyoy. I want to share with you, I heard 2 weeks ago from a friend of mine a gewaldige story. He's a descendant, he's an enikel of Reb Chatzkel Brod. Reb Chatzkel Brod, I think his son-in-law, Rabbi Chazan, who just passed away this week in Yisrael. Reb Chatzkel Brod is probably someone that many of you remember, Ron Heights. He once told his descendants that he refuses to take a kibud by a wedding, doesn't want to take any kibudim. They asked him why. He So he said, the first time I'm going to get a kibbutz, I'll feel good. Okay, got a kibbutz. Second time I'm going to feel good. Third time I'll feel good. But already after 3 times of getting a kibbutz, if I go to a wedding and I don't get a kibbutz, all of a sudden I'm going to feel bad. In other words, I'm going to start feeling entitled to kibbudim. And instead of coming to a simcha, he was known to come to a simcha and make freilich actually. Instead of coming to a simcha with a good heart, all of a sudden my subconscious is going to be thinking about, did I get a kibbutz? Will I get a kibbutz? So I don't want to allow such gaiva thoughts to enter my psyche. So I refuse to take any kibbutz to begin with. We have to, serving L'Shem Shamayim demands tremendous investment and effort because it's only natural to give in to the feeling of self-value and worth, and I'm deserving, and start expecting, and then frustration comes with expectation. It's a very dangerous world when you start entering the world of gaiva and taiva and kavod. Like the Pirkei Avos says, akina v'taiva v'akaved mavirin es ha'adam min ha'olam. It pasha destroys a person. So we have to elect leaders, says the Medrash Shmuel, that we can be convinced that they will stay on the path of L'Shem Shamayim. And what to look for that is to look for the Schus Avos, to look for someone that has a background of special parents, grandparents, great-grandparents that would have instilled this Schus into their descendants. Now I want to go a step further. The Yavitz, he's known as a Chosid HaYavitz. The Yavitz wrote a Gevaldik Pirush on Pirkei Avos. And he does not like all these pshatim that I just spoke about is the simple pshat of the Mishnah. He feels that there has to be something deeper. Why does there have to be something deeper? He says, because at the end of the day, Pirkei Avos is a guide for not those that want to have good midos. It's a guide for someone that wants to be a chassid, someone that wants to go lifnim mishuras hadin. Just protecting someone and telling them not to give in to their taivas of kavod and serving l'shem shamayim. For that, he says it's a wonderful thing to have a musar shmuz, a fabrengen. But he doesn't feel that Pirkei Avos, Rabbi Gamliel, the son of Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, would have this written in Pirkei Avos for such a person. He quotes a famous Gemara. When the Gemara wants to say that we're wasting our time and we're talking about the wrong type of person, it uses the expression "Atu b'shutfini askinon." Are we talking about fools? Meaning, why would the Mishnah refer to a case about somebody that's going to do something foolish? The Mishnah wouldn't be written for the fools. That's what the Gemara repeats many times. Atu v'shutfini askinon. Are we talking about fools? Says the Yavitz. All the above on a level that's in comparison to Pirkei Avos is foolish. Pirkei Avos should be written for people that can't control their taivas. Pirkei Avos should be written for people that are chasing kavod. You don't need Pirkei Avos for that. So he says he believes that there is a much deeper message that Rabbi Gamliel, the son of Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, is trying to impart. And this message is very important. For parents, for educators, rabbonim, shluchim. It's a very, very important thing. And in order to understand his vart, let's redefine what schus avos means. The first pirush, the way we explained it, schus avos is referring to the schus of the congregation, that in their merit, you're matzliach to intercede on their behalf. According to the second approach of the Medrash Shmuel, the schus avos is referring to the schus avos of those which are doing the askanos. Look for somebody that has schus avos. He says, the Yavitz, that schus avos is referring to bitachin in Hashem. Schus avos means Hashem is our Father. Schus avos means the schus of having bitachin in our Father in heaven. The schus of, that's the schus avos that we're referring to in our Mishnah. What does bitachin have anything to do? He says that many times, leaders of Klal Yisrael get together and they have these ambitious projects. They want to really, really help the community. Or a shliach wants to really help his kehillah. An educator, a mechanech, wants to help their class. And they have these amazing ideas. What happens? They discuss these ideas with people. And the people tell them, it sounds nice, but you're completely overestimating your crowd. The people that you're dealing with are not shaykh to reach such lofty heights. They're not, you're speaking in the himmel. You don't have a reality check. And it's very, very important to have a reality check. I want to share with you, the Frierdiker Rebbe describes in various places some of the most difficult moments in his life. One of those moments are going to shock you. Here was somebody that was in prison. Here was somebody that was in Nazi-occupied Europe. I mean, he went through Gehenim in this world. The Frierdiker Rebbe's life is a life of Mesiras Nefesh Mamish, Gehenim and Olam Hazeh. But one of his most saddest moments, he says, is when he came to America, the first night, and he made a big announcement. And the announcement was, America is nicht anders. America is not different. We're going to bring Toim Chet Mimim, we're going to bring the old values of the pre-war Europe. We're going to plant those values in America, and America is going to give, the fruit is going to grow. Beautiful Hasidim, Yirei Shamayim in America. He made this announcement. And you can imagine the people that heard it were going like, oh, sure. You obviously don't know America. And he says that night, the first night that he was in America, there was a knock. And two older Hasidim from America came. And they said, the Rebbe, please stop speaking this way. You don't know America. Don't make statements which you won't be able to implement. You're just going to get upset. It's going to be frustrating. Just welcome to reality, as they say in English. Smell the coffee. Like, enter reality. You're not in Europe. You're not in Lubavitch. You're not in Atvatsk. You're in New York. And the Frierdiker Rebbe says that night he cried and cried and cried. It was so difficult for him. People didn't believe in what he believed in. And these were from Hasidim, who were trying to protect the Rebbe from this inner frustration. And he cried for hours that night in pain. And then he says, I came to the resolution, that's it. I'm going to continue. But that takes a tremendous amount of bitachon. It takes a tremendous amount of belief in the neshama of the Yid, of bitachon in the Eibishter, that things which seemingly are not possible, things which many people feel are in the clouds, we can still implement, we can still do. Says the Avos that the Hira from our Mishnah is talking to the Askanim that are trying to elevate the spiritual status of Bnei Yisrael. And people that they're talking to are telling them it's not possible. And he says like this, he says a beautiful lashon. You invest in your bitachon in the Eibishter. Kefi mailes ha-bitachon ha-atzola. Schus avos misayaton. You, the shliach, you, the parent, you, the mechanic, you, the grandparent, don't allow the klipa to say, be realistic. Today's generation is just different. Now, of course, there's methods, an approach, things that you have to use chachma. Obviously, I'm not advocating for just rigidity and to just come down with the stick hard, but we're talking about believing in the yid, believing in the neshama, believing that the Eibishter's desire will actually could happen now. And that demands sheshchus avoisa misayaton. In the schus of the everyone has to know. In the schus of your bitochen, you have that bitochen that will help you. If you believe, truly believe in the Eibishter, and you truly believe that this is the best for your children, for your community, for your city, and you have bitochen in the Eibishter, that bitochen will be the key to your success. It will open up doors that you never believed. And all of a sudden, what everyone felt was a dream, something that impossible, will somehow become a reality. All of a sudden, it will be in the merit of your bitochen. The Nachlas Avos, he builds on this and he adds another very, very important point. And he says that Rabbi Gamliel is trying to show us. Rabbi Gamliel is often the one that's quoted as Yofa Talmud Torah im Derech Eretz. That with Talmud Torah, there has to be a job, there has to be work. Like that's the Torah im Derech Eretz, approach. The Samson Raphael Hirsch approach, the Torah im Derech Eretz, that was their approach. But many times, there's a second part of that equation which doesn't get so much attention. And that is you can't have Derech Eretz without Torah. The son of Rabbi Yehuda Nasi was trying to give over something much more than just the Askanos is a mushal here. What is the mushal? He was trying to bring an example to a very, very sensitive point. And that is, can I be a good person without being a frum person? How many times do people say, I'm going to work on my midos. I'm going to work on my midos. I'm working on being a good person. I don't need spirituality. I don't need to have ruchnius. The main thing is derech eretz, kadmala Torah. The main thing is derech eretz. I'm going to be a good person. Do we believe in Yiddishkeit that someone can be someone can have truly good midos without hadracha, without influence from Torah and Yerushalayim? Can that work? Is that a workable thing? So Rabbi Gamliel is challenging that. Rabbi Gamliel is saying you can't have one without the other. You can't say that you're invested in being a good person without having Torah's influence. What's an example? The example he wants to bring is an example of askanos. How many times people wonder all the time, this is always this big pellet by people, that you have these well-meaning people, that they get elected to Congress, they get elected to Senate, they get elected to public positions, and they start off with tremendous idealism. And then after a few years, all of a sudden you find out that they join what they call the swamp. They just become part of the political machine. All of a sudden they forgot who they're serving, why they went to serve. And it becomes about their connections, their career, people that they actually went into communal service with the greatest sense of idealism, end up becoming just taken over by the who's who and connections and mitamol. It's about the personal rise on the ladder. What happens? It's not by accident. That is almost the natural path. The shock is not if somebody gets, contaminated by politics or by power or by richness. That is the normal feeling. The shock is somebody that won't be. And the only way somebody won't be, the only way, says Rabbi Gamliel, is if you have Yiras Shamayim, if you have a sense of L'Shem Shamayim. Because then you have a special schus avos, which can protect you from falling prey to your natural instincts of power breeds connections. There's just a natural feeling that you just want to be with the who's who. And when feeling entitled and feeling better and feeling connected and feeling influential, and just a natural thing that comes to a person, that he should not have those feelings, and he should feel equal to the people he's serving. That takes tremendous level of humility. And that you need almost a special schus avos to protect you from yourself. And that only comes if it's l'shem shamayim, if your service is imbued with Torah, if your service is imbued with shem shamayim, then as a person you can be protected from your natural instincts. Because midas toivus, serving the community, is a great midah. But without Torah, it just crashes because it's built on your own premises and it involves your own nefesh habahamis. And eventually things creep in. You need a special schus. And that comes from learning Torah and having emunah in the Eibishter and getting in touch with your neshama, which brings out a schus avos. I would like to add a final thought over here. And which maybe we can touch into the Mishnah. It may not be pshat in the Mishnah, but the lesson is, I think, very, very important. And that is that a lot of people, they get involved in communal work to better the community, but many times they're talking about the gashmius of the kehillah, which is very important because Yiddish gashmius is ruchnius. But there has to be askanim. Look at the lashon of the Mishnah, that those which are involved with the community should be involved l'shem shamayim. Now, the simple taich is that they should do their service, for the sake of heaven. But maybe we can taich that they should do what should their service be l'shem shamayim? Their service should be instilling yiras shamayim in the kehillah. The service of the askanim should be to instill l'shem shamayim, to elevate the ruchnius of the community. That should be the oisik, the oiskim imatzibur. What should they be oisik in? L'shem shamayim. I heard once a word, we say in the bracha before Musaf on Shabbos, whoever is involved in tzarchei tzibur and helping the community, be'emunah, the Eibishter will take care of them. What is the simple taich be'emunah? It means if you do it faithfully, if you do it for l'shem shamayim. But I heard once a drush, it says, if you're involved and you care about instilling emunah in the kehillah, you're here to bring emunah to the people, then HaKadosh Baruch Hu yishalem scharim, then you get a special schus because the Eibishter sees that your goal is to instill emunah, your goal is to instill l'shem shamayim. We have to believe something. There's a sefer called Avodas Yisrael. The Avodas Yisrael wrote a pirush on Pirkei Avos, and he actually quotes the Tanya. He says, what does it mean that we have a schus avos? What is the schus avos that we have? The Alter Rebbe says that inside every single yid is a neshama, And this neshama has an ava mesuteres to Hashem, which is Yerushalonu mi'aviseinu. It's not up to us. We have it, whether we like it or not. We inherited a Yerushalonu mi'aviseinu. We inherited this ava mesuteres. There's certain families, there's a gene that they inherit. I was reading over Yom Tiv, an amazing book. It's called Larger Than Life, which describes the life of the Rebbe Shliach to Melbourne, Rabbi Yitzhak David Groner. And in the book, one of his granddaughters is interviewed, and she said that in the family, they inherited a worry gene. He called it the worry gene, that they're worried. The kids travel, they're always worried. There is a gene that we inherit, and that inheritance is the Ava Mesuteres, a love to the Eibishter. And we have to know that every Yid has it. When you believe that, when you believe that every Yid has Yerushalanu mi'aviseinu, every Yid has a neshama that has this Ava Mesuteres, whether they acknowledge it or not, if you believed that every Yid has it, whether or not they acknowledge it, then you won't be worried and you won't be intimidated to get out and look to strengthen the L'Shem Shemayim, you oiskim L'Shem Shemayim of the community. You wouldn't be afraid, because the biggest fear is no one's interested. No. They may say they're not interested, but they have a schus avos, they have an ava mesuteres, and therefore you should get involved and do it. And this is obviously so important in our avodah. We have a unique avodah, a final avodah, the final shlichus, is to get the world ready. L'kabolas pnei Mashiach tzidkeinu. That's our l'shem shamayim, getting the world to connect with the Eibishter. The ultimate connection is going to be b'vias HaMashiach. And don't be nervous to speak to people about emunah b'vias HaMashiach. They're going to say, they don't believe. Every Yid has a schus avos. Every Yid has this ava mesuteres. Every Yid has this emunah. And if you believed, if you, the person, believed that every Yid has this, we wouldn't be afraid to talk about it, because we know that everyone already believes it. They just need it to be revealed. So l'chaim, each and every one of us should strengthen our commitment to the shlichus. The Mirz Hashem, we will merit the iskalus of Melech HaMashiach. May it be tekev umiyad mamish. Now, if there's anyone that has any questions, let me see, you can allow participants to unmute themselves. You can ask.
Hi, Kirshi.
Hello.
Just going to say hello. I'll talk to you a little later.
It's Hashem.
Now I'm going to get back to my cooking.
Perfect.
I love you. Bye.
Anyone have any other questions?
I don't think anybody can top that. Shkoyach, Rabbi.
Okay, then. Have a wonderful Shabbos, everybody. Again, if anyone wants to join the emails or WhatsApps, email me at rabbiavtzin